say, you know what, this superstar that I didn't think now I need him.
Oh, hello. Welcome to That's Good Sports, the only YouTube channel God himself specifically forsake. I'm your football butler, Brandon Perna, and it's July. Training camp is on the horizon, and there's still some talent to be had on the free agent market. Sure, they might have some gray in their beard or skeletons in their closet, or might be asking for too much money, but one of these guys might just be the piece that puts your team over the top. Or not. Most likely not. Every year, though, we hit this point and say, oh shit, that guy's still a free agent. So today I want to highlight some of the interesting players still available and get to the reason they haven't been signed. Starting with Michael Thomas. Not to be confused with Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Why would anybody confuse those two? Well, they both disappeared after peaking almost immediately. Former Saints receiver Michael Thomas had one of the worst follow-ups to an all-time great season by any receiver ever. In 2019, he broke the single-season receptions record with 149 receptions and racked up 1,725 receiving yards. Since then, he's had 40, 16, and 39 receptions over 3 years and missed all of 2021 with an injury. If you combine the production from his last 3 seasons he played, he still had more catches, yards, and touchdowns in 2019 alone. By the time Thomas was actually healthy, quarterback Drew Brees was gone, retired after being struck by lightning, making him another person God forsake. I think Brees and Thomas, though, had insane chemistry on the field, and I don't know if Michael Thomas would have put up the same numbers he did with any other quarterback outside of, say, Tom Brady. He's 31 now, and just not a threat, which is why he's not signed. He's the same age as Odell Beckham Jr., with very similar production, but just none of the hype or fame. Is he lacking fame? But that's the NFL, right? One of those guys is a great addition to your receiver depth, and the other guy we forgot about, basically. Now, Thomas has been linked to the Denver Broncos basically every other week since Sean Payton and his former OC Pete Carmichael Jr. are here in Denver. And I feel like Denver is his only option, because if Sean Payton is not interested in the guy he helped develop and turn into a star, a record setter, I doubt many other coaches will be interested unless an injury occurs to their roster. Now, Bleacher Report linked him to the Carolina Panthers as well, but the last thing that roster needs is an older, slow receiver who can't separate. Then there is a 2-time Super Bowl winning tackle and an all-pro tackle who is on pace for a Hall of Fame career that are still available. It's Donovan Smith and David Bakhtiari, both unsigned. Now, I think everyone knows what the issue is for David Bakhtiari. It's been his knee. He tore his ACL in 2020 at practice, and the first surgery he got was shit. I think the surgeon may have used actual human excrement as part of the procedure after learning everything poor David has gone through trying to rehab that knee. Bakhtiari was the only tackle in the NFL to earn first or second All-Pro honors from 2016 to 2020 straight. So, he was fucking elite. David had 6 surgeries since that ACL tear and just has not been able to play or stay on the field. Green Bay released Bakhtiari to save $20 million in cap space. He's now been linked to the Chicago Bears and the Kansas City Chiefs. If he's truly healthy, I hope he goes to Chicago to protect a young Caleb Williams. Watching him and Aaron Jones go against their former team this season is great entertainment. If he's going to struggle with his knee again, then I hope he goes to the Chiefs. Now, one reason Kansas City might be interested is that they didn't bring back tackle Donovan Smith. They're also waiting to see if anything's going to happen with the weed arrest for projected starting tackle Wanya Morris. Donovan Smith has won 2 Super Bowls, protecting Tom Brady in 2020 and Patrick Mahomes last season. He's a decent tackle, but his issue is getting dinged for penalties too frequently. According to Pro Football Focus, he allowed 3 sacks last season, which is actually half as many as he allowed for Tom Brady in their Super Bowl run. That's more of a Mahomes stat when you start to think about it. He also tied a career high in pressures allowed last season with 41, but he's always available. He's been healthy his whole career. He can start and would be a great option for any team concerned that their starting tackle is bad or injury prone or, again, loves weed. Please subscribe here on YouTube, and don't forget to check out my coffee company, BenchwarmerBrew.com. We've got the Fuck the Refs coffee. It's a dark roast. It's a delicious roast. It's probably my favorite roast. We got some of these over there as well. BenchwarmerBrew.com. And we got some of these. Hunter Renfrow. I never thought I'd say that Josh McDaniels, of all coaches, ruined the career of a tiny white slot receiver, but he may have done that to poor Hunter Renfrow. McDoofus thrived with guys like Julian Edelman and Wes Welker in the lineup when he was calling plays for the Patriots. But since McDaniels set foot in Las Vegas, Renfrow went from 103 receptions in 2021 to 36 in 25. Holy fuck, Hunter Renfrow really had a 100 reception season. His touchdowns dropped from 9 to 2 to a whopping 0 last year. The weirdest thing, though, is Renfrow signed a 2-year deal in 2022 when McDaniels arrived with the Raiders, so they wanted him there, but then didn't know how to use him. Like when your 93-year-old grandma suddenly asks for an iPhone for Christmas. Now, honestly, I don't know what happened to Renfrow in the Raiders' offense. He earned the nickname Third and Renfrow, and he's always had a knack for getting open, despite looking like he couldn't run a 9-second 40. Unlike Wes Welker, Renfrow isn't injury prone, specifically with concussions. Last season with the shuffling quarterbacks in Vegas, Renfrow got lost in the lineup. Jacoby Myers came in and reminded people he's actually pretty damn good at football. And if you don't have a good or veteran quarterback, sometimes getting to your slot guy simply doesn't happen in your progressions. Hunter is 28, so he's got a couple good years left. Unless, of course, his whiteness has already slowed him down to the athletic age of 40. Bleacher Report has linked him to the Broncos and Saints. Everyone is linked to the Broncos after Pro Football Focus gave us the worst roster in 2024. Thanks for nothing, Pro Football Focus. But the Saints actually make a ton of sense because, Derek Carr is there and Carr actually threw Renfrow the fucking football. I do not think the Broncos need him, and I'd actually place Hunter Renfrow with the Dallas Cowboys if I were a GM. Dak Prescott is a smart quarterback who would exploit Renfrow's skill set in the receiving core where you can shuffle him around anywhere behind CeeDee Lamb in their current lineup. Then there's Xavien Howard. Anytime a defensive back turns 30, you can expect a decline in performance. Howard's performance has declined over the last couple seasons, and his 10 interception year in 2020 is looking more and more like an anomaly. Not that he hasn't been good since then, but he hasn't been close to being that good. Howard started to play better last season and then suffered a foot injury, one of about 53 Dolphins to be hurt in 2023. Remember that documentary, The Cove, about the Japanese fishermen ruthlessly slaughtering dolphins? Yeah, the 2023 Dolphins will be the sequel.
The dolphin smile is nature's greatest deception.
Now, Howard can still play and would be a great depth piece for any team sort of thin at corner. Which team could that be? Probably the Dolphins. With the news of the 8-game Cam Sutton suspension, I'd venture to guess the Steelers might be interested. But here's the real reason Howard hasn't signed. He is perpetually involved in bizarre relationship lawsuit, sex scandal stuff. I've talked about it here several times, but most recently, he's being sued for sexual misconduct.
Somebody say sexual misconduct?
No, I didn't, Deshaun. Get the fuck out of here. Howard is actually being sued because an ex-girlfriend and the son of another ex-girlfriend claim Howard publicly shared sexually explicit material of the women without their consent. This lawsuit is new, but this has been an ongoing weird thing for years, including lawsuits about Howard knowingly passing along the gift that keeps giving, STDs. CBS News Miami, though, published this article about Howard on June 7th, writing, John Doe is the son of another woman who Howard was sexually involved with. After getting the woman pregnant, Howard allegedly demanded her to get an abortion, and after her refusal, he went on a, quote, warpath against her. Among other forms of revenge toward the pregnant woman, Howard texted sexually explicit material of her to John Doe, who was underage at the time of the incident, causing emotional distress to him and his mom, court document stated. If you got lost there, he's being accused of sending sexually explicit material to one of his girlfriend's kids. Now, so that might be one of the reasons the Dolphins cut him 3 years shy of completing his 5-year deal. Now, there's another corner available who doesn't do any of that weird shit that Howard has been accused of. Stephon Gilmore. Gilmore is 33. He's a fucking dinosaur for an NFL corner. Which dinosaur, you ask? Gallimimus. Duh! If you don't know that, you should go back to school because you're not smart.
Stop being a fucking dinosaur and get a job.
Now, after the 2021 season where Gilmore survived being a Carolina Panther, teams were slow to sign him due to some injury concerns. Now, the Colts took a chance on him and he played well. 2023 comes along and the Cowboys take a chance on him, where he played well. Exactly the same as he did the year before, actually. His stats are identical, so if you're Dallas, you should have been thrilled because he was exactly as good as you thought he would be. Gilmore was solid last year, especially after Trayvon Diggs went down with an ACL injury. Gilmore didn't look good against the Packers in the playoffs, allowing 4 receptions on all 4 of his targets. Before that, though, he allowed a completion percentage of 56.8, his best since 2019, so maybe, just maybe, he's aging like wine. Right now, the Jaguars and Bears have the best odds of signing Gilmore if he doesn't return to Jerry World. Now, the Bears are supposedly interested in a bunch of players right now because they have $21 million in cap space at the moment. I think the Jags have a greater need for good corner depth at the position. Darius Williams left for LA. Tyson Campbell has been better against the run than in coverage, and they brought in Ron Darby and Darnell Savage to fill out their corner spots. They have more question marks there than the Bears or Cowboys, in my opinion, and should sign Gilmore. Speaking of the Jags, here's an odd free agent available, Jamal Agnew. Now, I had to get one special teams dude on this list. Jamal Agnew, he's explosive. Since 2016, he has 6 combined punt and kick return touchdowns. The NFL is testing the new kickoff rules this season, which may increase the value of a good kick returner. Jamal Agnew is exactly that. His return production dipped in 2023, but teams may be more concerned about his health. He missed 4 games mid-season and then fractured his leg. And I get why a leg injury for a guy whose biggest asset is speed and agility would concern GMs, but I'd just limit his role to returning kicks and sign him immediately. I think with the new rules, he could be a kickoff cheat code. Remember that Steelers signed Cordero Patterson for that exact reason, and he's 33, Agnew just 29. Edge, Emmanuel Ogbah, Yannick Ngakoue, and Carl Lawson. Now, I'm lumping all 3 of these dudes together because they're the same player to me. Also, 35 edge defenders signed new contracts this offseason. Not all of them hit free agency or changed teams, but that's a lot of edgers. And these 3 are still edging. At this point, I just assume Ngakoue will be a free agent every single summer. After his first 4 years in Jacksonville, he's played for the Vikings, Ravens, Raiders, Colts, and Bears. Last year was the first season in that stretch where he had a drop in sack production, going from 9.5 to 4. But before last year, he was extremely consistent. Carl Lawson tore his Achilles in 2021, missed that season. He was good in 2022, notching 7 sacks, but struggled last year with an early season back injury and was only able to play in 101 snaps. When healthy, though, he's a force on the defensive line. but is probably going to take another injury to a different player to open up a spot for Lawson at this point. Ogba finished the 2023 season strong. He was a situational pass rusher in Fangio's defense, but all 6 of his sacks came starting in week 12. His playing time increased with Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb going down. Not on him, but with injury.
Nature's greatest deception.
Ogba could reunite with Fangio in Philly, and that role makes a ton of sense as they have Bryce Huff and Josh Sweat, and would only need a vet like Ogba as a situational guy. Ogba wasn't going to start ahead of Chubb or Phillips in Miami, but he did what you want from a guy in his position after they did go down, and I think there's more value there than he's currently getting in this market. And finally, Justin Simmons. I think for Simmons, this comes down to money. Money he deserves and is patiently waiting to play for his true value. That's, of course, in addition to the safety free agent market being extremely saturated this offseason. There's still like close to 20 safeties who are free agents. Good ones too, Quandre Diggs, John Johnson, Jamal Adams, who was good. Oh, and while making this video, of course, Jamal Adams signed a 1-year deal with the Titans. Now, I'm sure it's a cheap deal for Tennessee, and Adams is only 28. People forget Jamal Adams set a record for sacks for defensive backs in his first year with the Seahawks after getting traded there with 9.5. His reputation as an elite safety, though, took a hit because Seattle was dumb enough to trade away 2 first-round draft picks for a safety. That's ridiculous and unfair to Adams to have to live up to that trade capital.
I'm the best in the nation.
His issue after that first season in Seattle has been health, missing 33 of 67 games. He also got hurt trying to tackle his former quarterback Russell Wilson, making this possibly the most ironic play in NFL history. The Seahawks' worst trade, getting injured trying to tackle their best trade. What? Regardless, I hope Adams balls with Tennessee because in his prime, he was a joy to watch. Keanu Neal and Ryan Neal, who should just be packaged as a 2-for-1 Neals.
Someone say Neal?
No, I didn't, Colin. Kareem Jackson is 36 and Micah Hyde 33, but they could contribute. Here's the thing. There's a lot of safeties available, but not a single one is as good as Justin Simmons is right now. He's 30, will be 31 at some point this season, but of all the dudes I just mentioned, he's the most complete safety in the group. He's 6'2", perfect size, he can cover, he had 3 picks last year, and he's a consistent tackler who can support the run defense. He's also been a pillar in the Denver community. He's an even better man off the field than he is a player on it. Simmons is probably viewed just outside that elite safety tier right now, and that's only because of his age, because he still plays at an elite level. There's a fair amount of teams that don't value the safety spot equally across the league. He didn't even make Bleacher Report's 10 bargain free agents list because I think they know he's asking for what he's worth.
There has been considerable interest, but this is one of those things where it's really just the situation and the money have to be right. Teams take a look at what they have on the roster and they say, you know what, this superstar that I didn't think now I need him. So the time is coming for Justin Simmons.
Simmons is in a weird spot where he plays at the level his salary demands, but most teams are looking for cheap vet help at this point, especially at the safety spot at this part of the offseason process. Since nobody respects him, he should just come back to Denver and then give us the only hometown discount he was willing to give across the league, and then make all those other idiots pay.
Now I need him.
Come back to Denver, Justin. Play for free, damn it, we miss you. Thanks for watching. That's Good Sports, unsigned free agents. You gotta subscribe here on YouTube. And don't forget, if you're gonna play Underdog Fantasy, to use my code, That's Good.